Hewerton's Lockdown with special guest Nick Perera.
Right, so I was bored out of my mind another day, and I was like, I was telling Kim, I was like, I gotta do something, to talk to people because I've been working on computer, a couple things for St. Louis, like we helping here in a coffee shop. The one in Milwaukee is closed, but the one in Chicago here, it's open.
Closed or like just closed down for right now?
It closed down for right now. We are inside of a clinic in there. We're inside of Ascension. So they are just working. It's Ascension and YMCA. So we are the only cafeteria in there. But the thing is, the clinic is only opening 2 to 3 days a week, and YMCA is closed. So we had to close in there. But here in Chicago, we kind of like Kim is busy. I'm helping and bothering the shit out of her. That's my job.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So, but I was like, man, I'm bored. I got to do something. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start talking to people and record and maybe post or not. So I spoke to Ian, and you know how Ian is. He's a clown,
I only watched about 3 minutes, and I was laughing, and I turned it off. My wife and kids, and she's like, what are you watching? Who are those people? I was like, don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
That's funny. But no, it was funny. So I decided to pick some players that I have, especially guys that I have a connection for now.
Sure.
And I have a history. And again, what I said to Ian, it's not supposed to be a regular interview type of shit because, we always interview to people and then they know what we're going to say. We already programmed say the same thing. We want to talk about stories, know stuff about you. It's like I told you, it's rated R. I mean, you can do whatever. People don't have to watch if they don't want. It's not to MASL or to anything. It's just for us,
Cool.
So, all right. So, first, what I want to know is funny stories about Nick Perera.
Oh, there's too many.
It doesn't have to be obviously stories that happen in Milwaukee only, but it can be happening anywhere that you
The problem with the stories in Milwaukee is we could do one per day. There's one per day. We could write a book on the stories from Milwaukee.
Oh, I bet, man. I bet. So yeah. So that's the stories that I want to know is practice stories. Let me tell me some practice stories, like a fucked up shit. That happened with you at practice.
Let's see. I'll just go to my first week in Milwaukee. We'll start there. First day in Milwaukee, actually. I think in the first day in Milwaukee, there was a fight between two Brazilians after practice.
Oh, is that one that Marcio and Pablo?
Yeah. That was the first day. First day.
Okay, here it's completely fine, man.
What's that? You can say that?
Oh shit, yeah. You can tell names too.
So I think practice was over, and I was talking to you guys, and I was trying to speak Portuguese, which at the time was embarrassing. It was terrible. I sounded like Borat speaking Portuguese. But you guys were talking, and Marcio, we always ended training with that game. There was a scrimmage at the end of the game, and everybody got super fired up about it all the time. And I think Marcio's team won, and Pablo's team had lost. And Marcio was talking shit about Pablo, but he was saying it in English.
Oh, I remember that.
And Tozer was close. I don't know if he was right there, but he was close.
He was in Larry's room.
Yeah, with the coffee. Yeah. And so Pablo started telling him in Portuguese, porra, Márcio, não fala em inglês. O cara vai entender. Don't say it in English. He can understand. And Marcio was saying, oh, Pablo, we killed you. I don't know what he said. And then Pablo started going, fica falando merda, caralho. And then for 5 minutes, my first day of training, I'm trying to meet everybody. Hey, I'm Nick. Nice to meet you guys. Two of the guys running at each other and screaming. I think you had to pull Pablo, holding him like this. No, Pablo, no. His arms are flailing.
That's the first a weird part of the story. It's me actually holding someone.
No, usually it's the other way around. But this time, for some reason, I think you decided that you were going to be the good guy and you were going to separate everybody.
Nah, that was fun, man. I remember them. I never saw Pablo mad at anybody. I don't know what happened that day. No idea. And he started to go at Marcio. Yeah, and you start to speak Portuguese, and now you pick up. You picked up Portuguese.
I'm better now. I don't know if I'm great, but I'm better.
in Tacoma that speak Portuguese?
We only have Americans. We've got Portuguese, huh? No, I mean Pablo was the first guy. Pablo came for the one season. He spoke a little bit of Portuguese, and that was it. And then there is a Brazilian kid on our reserve team, but I always get the same thing, even throughout the league. If I ever play against somebody who, when we played against Florida, I think I was calling somebody a chorão, cala a boca, chorão, or something like that. And the guy turned around like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?"
How many languages do you speak?
I can speak maybe like I would say 6, but 2 or 3 of them. I mean, Portuguese and Italian I can speak pretty well, but not amazingly. So 6.
Yeah, but if you go to Brazil, you can order bread at least, right?
For sure, I can order bread. I the first time I was in Brazil, I ordered pão de queijo. And the lady said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Yeah, eu quero pão de queijo." She said, "No," and everyone was looking around like, "Can't say that." And then I had to
understand, just so people understand what pão de queijo is. It's cheese bread in Brazil, the little, cheese bread that is absolutely delicious. I make an amazing one though. It's frozen. All I have to do is open the bag and put it in the oven.
That's awesome.
But the one that's so pão is different than pau. So pau is a slang for the dick, and Portuguese. Pretty much what you ordered was like a cheese dick.
A cheese dick. That's what I was ordering. I actually asked the lady 2 or 3 times, and I was trying, instead of just being like, "Hey, can I get some of the cheese bread in English?" and have her look at me like, "No, I don't know what you're saying." I was like, "No, I'm going to try in Portuguese." So I asked her for pão de queijo about 3 times, and then finally somebody came around and he said, "Pão, pão," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that one, the queijo."
Jeez, man, no, that's funny. That's who you were playing like a beach soccer, or
no, that was a futsal trip that we went to before I came to Milwaukee. We went to a futsal trip in Manaus.
Oh, in Manaus.
Yeah.
How many times have you been in Brazil?
2 times. The first time was Manaus, and the second time we went to Sao Paulo for beach soccer, and we went to Rio for 4 days to train before that.
Beach soccer in São Paulo, or you had to go to the beach?
No, it was Represa de Guarapiranga.
Oh, okay.
And they had set up a field right next to it, and so we had to go. We started our training in Rio at whatever it's called, Copacabana.
Oh, okay. No,
and we were there for 4 days, and then we had to drive, but the drive was like a joke. Or no, we had to fly. I'm sorry, it was a fly. And then we got to Sao Paulo, and the field was only maybe 4 or 5 miles from the hotel, but it took us 45 minutes or an hour to get there every single day.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, São Paulo is crazy, dude.
It's a joke.
And did you fly off the
TAM?
From São Paulo?
Yeah.
You flew internally in Brazil, so
yes.
Fly from São Paulo, all the buildings around, dude. Shit, like how you. I don't
remember because we lost in the group stage, and I just remember saying I got to get out of here. It was actually with the Seattle Sounders. They took a team. It was a Mundialito. And like, we got to get out of here. I don't want to be stuck in this city. Because in Brazil, I mean, it's crazy, but in Brazil, they put the news on every single day. And of course, in Brazil, there's only Brazilian channels. So we were watching the news, and they show like crazy murders and rapes, and like everything is on the TV. And so I'm watching the news, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. This is crazy. Last night, there's a story about some guy who got his store held up by a gunpoint. They shot him and his wife. It was like, I got to leave. I can't be here.
That's just another Tuesday for us, man. That's
yeah, and they were showing it. It was like happening on the television. No censorship, no nothing. And I'm sitting in there in my room with a guy from El Salvador, and I'm looking around like, oh my God, this is gonna be bad. We're gonna get shot.
How did you go from playing? Because you started play outdoor soccer, right?
Yeah.
But then you were even in the United States at the time, right?
Yeah, I came for college. Yeah.
You came for college, right?
Yeah.
And then how did you go from outdoor to indoor?
So in Spain, I lived in Belgium, and we used to play like maybe twice a year indoor soccer, but their version of indoor soccer was kind of like futsal, but with live ball, so still out.
With the shorter goal as well, like they have a shorter goal, right?
Yeah. So we used to play that all the time or sometimes in Belgium. But then in Spain over summer, when I'd go back to see my family, there was like a little futsal court, and you'd play Rey de la Pista, or 2 goals you stay on. And it was like crazy, like 3 hours wait, 4 hours wait if you lost. And so it was like I think I played 4 or 5 hours a day for 4 months every year, 3 months every year, nonstop. So I was already playing futsal, and then after that we would go out and you'd take those teams and you'd go and play beach soccer right after on the sand. So it was like I was playing 6 or 7 hours of futsal and indoor. My first ever team that I ever first time I ever went to like a team that was like a pro team was when I was 14, I think. I was in Spain. I went to Playas de Castellón, which was a big time futsal team.
Yep.
In Spain in first division, and I did a tryout with them, and they actually invited me to play with their U16 team, and I was supposed to go to Spain and stay with their school and their academy and all this stuff. And I was like, at the time, I just like everybody, they think, oh, futsal, like it's a joke, it's a waste of time, I'm not going to get paid, it's, nothing. And they actually the next year the pro team won the European Championship, and they were like amazing. There was a bunch of Brazilians, I think even one of the big ones, I don't know if it was Schumacher or one of those guys, played for them for a long time. But I started playing indoor because I was playing in college, and there was a guy in San Diego who'd set up this team called the San Diego Fusion. His name's Alex Monar. And he had set up this team. We used to play just messing around. Me and a couple of guys like Craig Childs was on the team, and Chris Toth came a little bit later. But we would just play. It was just like a pickup game. And then I went to go play outdoor, and I was in Spain, and one of the guys sent me a Facebook message. Hey, we're playing professionally now. And I was like, what do you mean professionally? There's no such thing. On the West Coast at the time. I knew the MISL, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And so when I came back, they were playing pro indoor, and there was guys like Susi was on the team, and Dan Antoniuk, and Paul Wright, and a bunch of guys.
I played with Paul Wright when I first came to the United States, man.
Yeah, and he was 40. I don't know how old he was at the time, 40-something, but he was incredible, right? I mean, like, he was crazy.
Yeah. Well, my first team was San Diego as well. When I came from Brazil, first team was San Diego. So I played with Paul Wright, Sean Bowers. I played with
Sean Bowers had retired, but he would come train with us sometimes. Brian Quinn would come train with us sometimes.
Brian Quinn was my first coach, man.
Yeah.
He's crazy though.
Yeah, you got yelled at a lot, right?
Oh, so many times. One day I got yelled at him, like, because I was trying to dribble and knock back guys, and he said something, and I was like, sorry. And then he yelled, like, it's like, oh, you say sorry. And I didn't speak English, man. And I look at him, I was like, oh, sorry. He's like, I'm done with you. It was funny, man. Like, he was crazy, dude. But I like it. San Diego was beautiful.
When he came and trained with us, he must have been, I don't know how old he is now, but he was much older than everybody else. And he was still better than just about everybody. And he was like, had probably been done playing for 8 or 10 years. I don't know. But he was still super, super good. And he was still demanding. It was like, if you turned it over, he'd still be like, fucking rookie, you lost the ball. Fuck. But so we started playing there, and I only think I played like 7 or 8 games my first year. And then they did this futsal invitational.
PSL, or that was when they were in a PSL at the time?
PSL,
right?
PSL. And we won the championship that year. We won the championship, and I was trying to, at the time, of course, if you know me a little bit, I'm a little bit arrogant. I thought I was like really good. I was like, man, I'm so good at this game. This game is easy. All you do is run out there. You don't even have to defend. You just run around and dribble people.
I'm about to just say that. It's like, this game is easy going north, but you like to go south as much. So,
This is easy. I pick up the ball. I wait up here. Everybody else runs and works. I get the ball, and then I just get to try and dribble and do stuff, and then it's great.
Yep. And if you lose the ball, you'll hop out, someone defends for you. Why not?
That's right. Well, now I'm too smart. Now I know that if I stay on the field, it's worse for my team, so I jump off the field quick.
Exactly.
But at the time, I thought it was easy. And then I went to this futsal tryout with Tozer, and he invited me to go to Milwaukee with you guys. And I signed, and I remember I went on a futsal trip with Matt Stewart. And I remember I had this picture of Tozer that was like this super calm, nice guy. Because in futsal, he was like, it was a bunch of kind of younger guys. He couldn't really yell a lot because we were kind of young, but he really knew what we were doing.
And he probably spent like 2 to 3 weeks with you guys at the most. So you guys did not get into his nerves as much.
No, and everyone was new. Everyone was new. There was no veterans on the team, so it was like you can't really say, the old Tozer would be like, you either know it and you don't want to do it, that whole speech. We didn't get that one. So I was like, oh man, I'm stoked, Matt, Stewie. I signed with the Wave. Tozer sounds like a great guy. And Stewie was like, oh yeah, he's a great coach. He's a great coach. He's like, but you don't really know him yet. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, oh, you'll see. Just wait. You'll see. And first game we played in Brazil, I remember we played against Argentina.
Uh-huh.
I think we lost 10-0.
Oh shit.
And so we go back and he goes, all right, guys, we're going to start doing video in my room. So I'm going to call you in by position. Okay, so forwards, then defenders, and midfielders, whatever. So it was me and Craig Childs. We go in there, and man, I got blasted for an hour. I mean, stop the tape. What are you doing here? What is going on here? Tell me what you're thinking. And I'm like, oh shit, I just signed like a 3-year contract or something with this guy, and I'm getting killed, And it's not just me. If it was just me, it's okay. You walk out of there with your head held high, like no problem. No one knows what was said. It was me and Craig Childs, and there might have even been a third person in the room. So I'm sitting there looking at it like, oh my God, my buddy's just watching me get killed.
When I first got, so when I was in San Diego folded. And we played, I can't remember if it was 9, 10 games, whatever the case may be. And we didn't play against Milwaukee whatsoever. We just played. We almost play about everybody but Milwaukee and Baltimore. And at the time we had the dispersal draft. So I was in San Diego, waiting for the dispersal draft. I was, just running on the beach, trying to have myself like stay in shape and shit like that. Britt, is your daughter?
Yeah. Sweetie buddy, because I'm talking to my buddy here. It's gonna be too loud if you guys start playing in here.
No, it's okay.
Okay, I'll be down in a minute. She just got super mad at me when I just
2 hours.
slammed the door. Be back in a couple hours. So you had a dispersal draft.
Oh, so that was this dispersal draft, and I'm like, like on the beach, running and everything, and all of a sudden, like, Vava called me, He's like, hey, I spoke to Carlos Bastos. Have you met Carlos Bastos in San Diego?
He's from San Diego, but I never met him.
So Carlos Bastos, he went to Brazil with Brian Quinn to do the tryouts, And so Brian Quinn and Carlos Bastos, like, they were trying to help me out to go to a different team because it didn't play against a lot of teams. So, a dispersal draft would be kind of tough for me.
Yeah.
So Vava called me, Carlos Basso called me, and all of a sudden, like, I didn't speak English. So, Vava was pretty much being my agent, because Victor Nogueira, because I played with him as well, when he was in San Diego, called Tozer to talk about me.
Mm.
Like, all right, that's kind of cool, And then Vava was like, Milwaukee's a great team. You're gonna love in there. You guys have a chance to win the championship, which happened like that year. Yeah. You're gonna love it. But I didn't know Vava at the time as much, right? Yeah. So he didn't warn me about anything.
What the reality of what it was.
Reality, dude. My first week of practice, I got there. Milwaukee lost their game, so I met them.
You met him when he was running around practice, killing everybody.
Oh, dude, no video session. I met him.
Oh, video, that's the best.
The first practice we got there was Ricardinho got drafted from Monterey. I think he was in Monterey. Monterey folded, I think, as well. And myself, we got there together. And at the first day of video, I just remember he's going nuts on someone. He took his shoes off and threw at the door. And then looked to me and Rick and say, hey, welcome to Milwaukee. And I was like, oh, shit, man. That's not going to be good.
Session after our first loss of the season, my first year, and I'd never seen that one before. And I remember walking in, it was in E-line, and it was that room as you came before. Instead of going down the stairs, it was the room on the right, remember?
Yep.
And he had gotten it, and there was a big whiteboard, and he had written down the 5 or 6 goals we'd given up, and he had the names of the guys that were on each goal. So he had, 5 names there. And I remember if your name was on there more than once, which I walked in, and I think I remember it was either my name and Pablo's or somebody's name, he had it underlined. Like, you know? And I was like, oh, I wonder what that means. And I remember sitting next to somebody, I think it must have been Tenzin or somebody being like, dude, whatever you do, don't say a word. If he asks you what you did, just say, I'm sorry, coach. I don't know. At the time, I don't remember. He goes, don't ever answer. And if he tells you something, just agree. He's just don't disagree with him. Don't ever. And I remember he was, what the fuck are you doing here? Coach, I'm so sorry. I thought maybe that, but you're right. I should have been here. Yeah. And then it's like, fuck, okay, who's next? And it's like, go get that guy. Get that guy.
No, the video sessions, definitely, it was interesting. It helped a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Oh, no, it's great information. It's just that sometimes it's hard to take that level of.
Oh, yeah. No, his sense of organization was amazing, and everything. It made a lot of guys better, especially through video sessions. But for me, it was a shock of culture, because in Brazil, we don't go as much like that. I remember a Jonathan Greenfield and I gave up one goal that was supposed to be a counterattack. Okay, so someone stole the ball. We looked at each other and started to go on a transition, and he gave us a sheet, with every minute and everything that someone did wrong, and he said on the sheet Everton Greenfield hesitated to go get the ball, and we were like, but we were going to counterattack. It doesn't matter. You gotta be 100% sure that we get the ball. I was like, okay, man, and yeah. I mean. It make us better, because I remember
much better. I mean, for sure. That year that my first year we won the championship too. I came in and it was you, me, Housey, and Jules. And I think that year you played second forward.
Second forward, yeah. Yeah. I tried not to play second forward, but I remember I think Marco. That's when Marco had the problem with something. I think he was eating too much tuna and mercury and what it was some Marco shit.
He had to go to Canada for a couple of weeks or something weird, right?
Yeah, something like that, or something that happened with his head. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And I remember that I played as a second forward, and I scored a hat trick. And then but you know me, I don't like to.
Of course, you remember that. That's the only part you remember. I don't know what happened, but I scored a hat trick. I don't remember what it was.
It would either be that or I don't know what happened, but I knocked Meg 3 guys.
Yeah, exactly. But we lost. No, but did you see that, Meg? Oh, did you see? I waited for him. I rolled it back like this. I killed him.
In the mirror, I saw him.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I remember because I had tricked, just because the fact that the next game, I said I want to play as a target. And I don't like to run. Never liked it.
Yeah, I don't like to run either, but sure.
And second forward, and I was like, all right, well, you have to play because Marco is still not good, blah blah. Yeah. Then I play a second forward again, and then I played well. And I remember, I think at the time was the line was pretty much you and me, and was Greenfield or something like that.
No, I was.
Yeah, it was me and you, because I did not play with Jules or Housey. That was not my lineup.
Yeah, it was. But Greenfield was with Marcio. Greenfield was in a different line. It was you, me, and Stewie, I think.
Probably.
JP.
Yeah, something like that. Someone got to defend, man, in that line.
Yeah.
So
I put JP because the two of us weren't going to defend. So he's like, maybe JP will work for both these guys.
Someone got to run. And I remember that then Marco came back. And right after I scored a couple of goals as well, whatever, and I went to him and was like, Marco is back, and I gotta go back to target, because Jules had the ability to play second forward as well, or Housey, and he's like, no, you're gonna continue to be a second forward. And I was like, come on, coach, I don't want to. If he's not playing as a target, I don't think I'm doing it not good enough. And he's like, all right, here's a choice. You either play as a second forward or you're not going to play at all. I was like, yeah, no, I really like second forward.
It's a good spot. I think I like that one.
That sounds really, really, really good, man.
Yeah, I remember a game against Baltimore at home, and Sagu was in goal, and you and I or maybe it was Syracuse, I don't remember. But we had probably 3 or 4 goals between you and me, you playing second forward, me target, where it was either you played me and I shot it and scored, or I played you and you shot it and scored, all within. And I think there's a goal where it's against Syracuse that I scored my rookie year, where it's like you, me, and Ian. And it was like, I I play you, you play Ian, Ian plays me, I play you, you play it back to me, and I score. It was a really nice combination. I remember that one.
And I remember because Ian was the second forward, and then he moved Ian as a midfielder
Mid-
because Marco came back.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Ian was second forward, then he put him in the midfield. And I want to say at the time that the second forward line was like Marco, Ian, and it like Tommy, maybe Tommy?
No. Travis. Was it
No.
Travis McKenzie?
No, I never played with him.
Oh, you're right too. That was 1 year before.
I think it was Tommy. I think he had Tommy. It was either Tommy or because he had Stewie and JP in midfield.
Yeah.
And I think that he had I don't remember. But I remember Tommy. Pablo was in midfield.
Pablo's a midfield. You're right. Pablo's a midfield.
Championship game, Marco was back, and Pablo had to sit out the championship game because he put Tommy in the midfield.
You're right. That was a great game, man. That was a great game. It was like it was a fun team, like on and off the field as well. You know,
Yeah.
I remember like one trip. I don't know what trip was, man. That I think it was that year that we had to go on a bus.
No, that was a couple years later. That was to St. Louis. That trip was
that was funny, man. We were just shit on each other like
for 6 hours. I remember. I even know how it started. I know exactly how it started. I had my computer out and I had made a highlight tape of myself scoring beach soccer goals.
Oh, and I said that you were like, it was taping like you in a club California or whatever.
That's right. You were like, oh, come on, this isn't national team. And I was showing people, and you were like, man, stop, put that shit away. So this at the time, we were sitting in the back of the bus, and the bus, everyone was sitting by us. Everyone was there. Yeah. And within about 20 minutes, everybody had moved away from the back of the bus, was sitting at the front because you and I were talking shit to each other. And then people started coming back to get involved. I remember Pablo at one time wasn't even involved in the story. And then all of a sudden, here he comes back. Oh, Nick, I played for the national team too. And I go, what's that? National arena team. I was like, get the fuck out of here, Pablo.
I remember that at some point, some guys start to get my back and some guys start to get your back.
Yeah.
Like a group, like involvement and thing. And Ian and I were fighting a lot at practice, but he got my back at
the bus. On the bus, he had your back.
And you're like, what's going on, man? Why are you defending him?
Yeah, I remember. Marcio one time, Marcio was staying out of it. Marcio didn't want to talk about it. I'm not involved. Yeah. And then at one point, I said something to you like, well, yeah, you played at Santos U6, U5, or something like that. Because I played at Santos, and I was like, yeah, U5s. Everybody made the team. And then Marcio came back. He was like, that's a good one, Hewerton. He did get you with that one. And I was like, I thought you weren't involved.
Marcio was instigating everyone.
Yeah,
well.
He liked that. He liked to piss people off, too.
That
was epic. And I remember people being like, oh, my God, that was the longest bus ride I've ever been on for you guys talking shit that long.
It was. No, it was funny because the entire bus, even like, yeah, like from the back to the front, like even Tozer, like it was looking back and laughing. Because
Yeah.
I remember it was funny, though. It was funny. How has been your transition as a player to a coach player? Because, I mean, it's hard to adapt. For me, it was adapt because my personality, you know, at the beginning, it was kind of like, oh, shit, I cannot, fight as much anymore. I cannot tell the referees off anymore as much. I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
But I have to set as an example, especially defending now, because I do a lot of video sessions and I have to point it out where I'm wrong, and that's going to be tough. Like, how's your transition going from player to a
tough
player?
one. Because so I started last year or whenever I took over as the head coach, and I added a defensive runner for myself, but I didn't do it so that I wouldn't have to defend. I did it because I know that defensively I was a liability, and I knew that if there was a younger guy who was just getting his foot started in indoor who would work hard for me, then it would help the team. It wasn't like, oh, I don't want to run. It's just that when I'm out there, I don't do a very good job.
It'll be of both, right?
I mean, there is a factor of but the truth is I didn't want to lose games because of me. Because then what happens as a coach if you're the reason that you lose the game?
That's right.
And then you do a video session and you go, guys, we lost because you fucked up and you fucked up. And everyone's thinking, no, dude, we lost because you fucked up, So I was like, I need to make sure that defensively I can be off the field as much as possible to help my team win, because that's the best for the team. But when I do video, I call myself out. I mean, I'm like, dude, this is, guys, this was totally my fault, and I need to stay with my guy or whatever. It's hard because it's really hard. And I think it's made me much more humble about the game of indoor, because you have to realize too that it's not just how you do, how you play or what you do, but there's so much more. Like you said, it's how you talk to your teammates, how you talk to the referees, how you talk to the other team. I used to be the guy that when we lost, I was thinking, fuck the other team. Those guys are assholes. I don't want to fucking talk to those guys. Get out of my face, But now it's like I'm kind of holding the weight of the organization. So if the game ends, I've got to walk over and be like, hey, man, congratulations. Good job. And the only time I ever get mad now at an opponent when it's like after a game is if I think they're disrespecting our fans or disrespecting our organization or disrespecting a player. I remember I was in Dallas with Fabinho, or against Fabinho, and there was a player who, one of my pet peeves is like when the game's over, and I remember Jonathan Santos used to get pissed at this too. Because I don't know if you remember, Evan McNeely sometimes in training when his team was winning would do it like behind the heel, like Rabona stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And Santos would always tell him,
he could barely hit the ball, but he would try. Yeah.
And so Santos would say, do it when you're winning.
Yeah.
Don't do it when you're winning. Do it when you're losing. That's balls. Don't do it when you're winning. And so one of my pet peeves is when the game is over and someone talks shit to you after the game's done. Hey, we beat you. And it's like, I just played 2 hours against you. You didn't say a word.
Yeah.
You didn't say a word. You didn't touch the ball. You ran away every time you could. But now your team won, and you're going to come find me and come talk shit to me. So anyway, and that happened in Dallas. I told Fabio, I was like, there was a guy over there that after the game was done, picked up the ball, ran around and kicked it up in the air and was like going crazy. I don't think he played one shift, but he came to go kick the ball right. Anyway, that's like that's the stuff that drives me crazy.
Yeah. So, no, it is absolutely like there's a couple things that's still irritating the shit out of me. Especially now that I just made a transition from coach playing to just
coaching,
which that's it's tough as well.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to get. I don't know. Last year, not this past season. Last year, I only played I think 9 games, whatever the case may be. Not because I was hurt. I didn't want it. I was trying to just focus on the coaching. I think that helped me out to just hold myself to just be coaching. And now, dude, I'm enjoying a lot, to be honest. It's kind of cool. But it was a transition.
It's a tough one, man. It's really complicated. Everything that you say, you have to be really calculating with. You can't say things like, as a player, you can just say something stupid and somebody's going to be like, oh, cool, whatever, that was dumb. As a coach, it's like you say something that could be, you could potentially ruin the future of a player, right? You say something to the wrong person at the wrong time. And you've also got to be willing and ready, and this is something I'm not always amazing at. You've got to be willing and ready to like die on the field in an argument, right? Like you're the coach.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So if somebody calls you out, you've got to be willing to say, I'm going to win this one. I'm sorry. I'll sit here for 2 hours and argue and yell if you want to, but I'm winning this one. Now, I'm very lucky in my team in Tacoma that I don't have any guys like that.
Mm-hmm.
We got a really cool group of guys, and they don't make my life difficult. But there's always like, just with men, it's like, I feel like women are so different to that, but I feel like with men, you just got to be ready to like defend your ego at any time. You got to be ready.
And it's tough, dude. It's tough. And sometimes like, I'm fortunate as well in St. Louis. I mean, St. Louis, there's a lot of good guys. But, I've been there 3 years. It's gonna, it was not all the time that you had special guys that, were trying to work with you.
Sure.
And sometimes like one person will ruin the entire chemistry of the group. And sometimes you just gotta get rid of it. And it's tough decisions to make, and that's sometimes people don't understand that, because you make a move for the organization to be better, and people on the social media don't understand what you're trying to do.
Sure.
And if you're a good player, some asshole say something to you on the social media, you go like, I like to say something as well. When I was a coach, man, you can't do that. And I'm like, dude, seriously, man, if I could, I would just say one thing for you. But it's tough though.
It is tough. It's also tough for me sometimes when man, when we lose a game we're not supposed to lose,
Mm-hmm.
and even like my home broadcasters are like, "Hey Nick, quick question as the coach," and I'm thinking, man,
Not the time, dude. Not the time. Don't talk to me.
yeah, and I'm thinking, go ask Danny, man. Danny will give you the right answer. He's the smartest guy about that. He'll say what he needs to say. Thank you, fans, and whatever. I got in trouble my first year against San Diego right before the playoffs, or it was in the playoffs. I don't remember. They interviewed me right after the game, and we had just had this. It was in the playoffs, and we just had a little like back and forth. And I said something that at the time I felt like this is the perfect thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day I was like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have said that. And somebody sent it to me on the bus ride home that one of the fans had clipped the video and had posted it on Facebook.
That has nothing to fucking do in his life, right?
And the guy was like, fuck you, Nick Perera. You're an asshole. Before you talk, you should, I'm thinking, fuck. I'm like in the locker room on the ride home, and somebody sends me this clip. Damn, Nick, you just got killed. And I'm like, oh no. And it's hard. It's really hard. So now I like when you see people like Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi and those guys that after a game that they lose, some reporter goes up and goes, hey, you're Messi. You didn't do shit today. How do you feel? It's like you just, we're dealing with like 1/1 billionth of what they deal with, and I'm getting pissed off. So I can only imagine what it's like to be those guys.
I'd like, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I'm still learning. I'm still learning of how to deal with
situations. Thing is with this coach and the player coach and the coaching and all of it. And so, like, in my organization, I act as the GM too. So I do player contracts. I do all this stuff. Like, so I do all that. And you have to really like learn to compartmentalize parts of who you are, right? Like, okay, I'm going to be a player now. Okay, I'm going to be a coach now. Okay, I'm going to try and be a GM. Now I'm going to be your friend, because sometimes, this as a coach, you got to deal with things that have nothing to do with soccer.
Oh, for sure, man.
You got to deal with like business, or you got to deal with like people's lives, like with the visa stuff. You're trying to help somebody get into the country and help you play as a player. So there's a lot of really tough conversations, and you got to really be smart about which part of the personality you're trying to access and try and be kind of all in one, but it's really hard. It is tough. I love it. I think it's an amazing process, and anybody who ever, like for my future as whatever it is that I'm going to do later, it's one of the most like changing and most learning experiences I've ever had in anything. Learning to do that, just learning to manage myself is like, damn.
I think like it helped me to grow a lot, from, not a lot, man. You already left.
I can't imagine you not being you. That's the problem. It says you are you. I can't imagine. You used to be the guy that whenever there was an argument on the field, it wasn't over until we had said that you were right. Yeah. It wasn't over until you were right. And most of the time, the only person that would go long enough was Marcia with you. The rest of us would be like, Hewerton, you were right. Good job. I'm going that way. You go this way. We're good. Marcia would sit there. I remember at one time we were doing restarts, and you and Marcio, it was the restart where you stepped into the box at the edge of the box and he played it to you. And you were going, I want it right here.
Uh-huh.
And Marcio played you the ball, and you said, no, it's the wrong place. It's going to be right here. And Marcio was like, fuck Hewerton, then come over to this angle instead of coming at this angle. And it was like a 30-minute talk. And I remember Victor Quiroz at the time was on the team. He picked up his shoes. He took his shoes off. He picked them up, put them down in his place, and walked away in his socks. Walked away and started getting a drink and was like, you guys finish the argument. I'm going to have a drink over here.
No, it was fun. I grew up, a little, at least, not a lot. So that process of coaching, it helped me, to sometimes identify and pick and choose my battles. Surprisingly, sometimes I'm the one that say, you know what, whatever, guys, you don't have to worry about that.
That's a tough one for me too. Is like, you're right.
Yeah.
But in order to move things forward, you have to go, you know what, that was my mistake. I messed that one up. I think you're right on this one. And just so that you don't sit there and go over it 100 times.
Yeah. That's been a tough part for me.
Who provides the pregame locker room entertainment now that you're the coach?
Last season was I think Stefan Oitomeia last season. Like he was a good one as well. Paulo Duduca. The Brazilians are always the
sure.
jokesters, yeah. Yeah, but definitely, I miss that part sometimes. I remember like I think you were there that one of the games before the game starts. Tozer got in the locker room and I was naked on a chair like a desk.
Yes. It was
And he
in
looked
Missouri,
huh?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, and he looked at me and he's like, "You didn't take your medicine, right?"
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. We were all going, I bet you Everton didn't take his meds today. I think he came in and was like, fuck, you didn't take your meds. And it was like one of those old school Larry sales where we're there like 5 hours before the game. Guys, I got to get there early so I can tape ankles. And it's like, Larry, we don't kick off until 7 and it's lunchtime. What are we doing here? And so you were there for like 3 hours providing the pregame entertainment. We were all sitting there watching.
Yeah, I missed the part. I missed the part because I tried to stay away a little. That's another part that was hard for me, because like I always fuck around with everybody on the team. There was not like a guy that I don't like that guy as much, like really like a. And right now you have to create a separation between you and the players of it.
Yeah.
You cannot bodies all the time. So I stay in the other locker room, with Mark and Jamie. Obviously, I still fuck around with them.
Yeah, sure.
It's fun, but I miss the part of being the players and not like messing with them. So I guess every once in a while I was still like putting a knot in someone's shoes, hiding shoes.
Yeah, those are the old ones. The hiding the shoes. That was the one that I remember getting so pissed off at. I was like, "Who hides shoes? What's going on here? How old are we?" And somebody was like, because you remember in Elon you had 2 locker rooms. We had the locker room I was in, and then the locker room you guys were in. Right? I was in there with I had Greenfield and Marcel and JP, Ian. Tens, and they were in mine. And on yours it was I don't know, Fabinho, you, Marcio, Luan, Jonathan. So you had that one. And I remember one time you guys hid my shoes in your locker room. And it was almost like another world. Like, holy shit, there's another locker room here? I usually go to this one. And I remember being so mad, telling Greenfield, like, who the fuck would do it? And Greenfield's like, oh, I can tell you who did it in 2 seconds, but I'm going to let you figure it out by yourself. He goes, anybody's shoes are missing, I can always tell you who it's going to be, but just why don't you go figure it out?
I remember like one day, that was like in Philadelphia, when I was playing for Philadelphia. This guy, Hangs. No, who was it? Well, anyways, he just got a new shoes, And in Philadelphia was similar. We had the locker room in one building, and then you walk out to go to the field in another building. And we all like mess around. It was Pat Morris, myself, Ricardinho, Tom Myers, like, old school guys,
Yeah.
I messed everybody up in that locker room, man. But that guy was funny because he just bought the shoes and he was bragging about his shoes, in the practice. Oh, the shoes is so good, it looks good, but feels good, blah, blah, yada. I'm like, all right, man, this guy's talking too much about the shoes. So Rick and I went to take a shower, and I'm like, no, just hold, man, just hold, let's not leave the locker, the shower yet until he leaves. I was like, all right. So the guy left. So he left. We were there. Everybody left. So it was Ricardinho and I in the locker room. So I got his shoes. That was one of the ceilings, square ceilings that
Yeah.
Moved that, and I hid his shoes in there. Didn't say a word. Next day, like, where's my shoes? Where's my shoes? Everton, where's my shoes?
Yeah, Everton, of course.
I know. I was like, why is me? Why you guys have always?
Yeah, you used to say all the time, guys, why do you always think it's me? We're like, Everton, because it is you. Fuck, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's so weird, man. You guys always like I say that's the Brazilian, that's stupid. So Pat Morris, like, it was the second one. Like, Pat, it was you, and he's like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, he went on and on for about 2 days. 2 days, I did not give the shoe back to him. The third day, he got another shoes. And then he went to practice, but he was quiet about it. He didn't brag about his shoes anymore.
Sure.
And I was like, all right, so he deserved his shoes back. So in the next practice, I got his shoes and I put like right on top of his chair. When he got in the locker room, he was pissed, man. He's like, that's bullshit. I just spent that much money on the shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like Everton was you. And I was like, no, it was not me. But I gotta tell you that, man. You gotta stop bragging about shoes. Did you shoes again, man? Well, it was funny.
It was me, but I might know who did it. So listen, let me give you some advice,
The best one that I did was it was a little mean. It was, I believe it was Pat Morris that I did that. I put icy hot on his lotion. So
I somebody told me a story about this within the league, and I won't say who's who, but there was a guy who told me that they did this to one of their teammates on his undies. icy hot on his undies, and didn't say anything during.
Me on that, man. Chidi Farias got me on that too.
Also Brazilians, by the way. And he said this guy didn't move. He goes, we sat there looking at him the whole practice. He didn't even make a face the whole time. And the guy, and he told me the story that recently. He said that, and I walked up to the guy and was like, "Hey, motherfucker, I know that I put icy hot in your underwear and that you've got to be dying." He goes, "Oh, I know." He goes, "I've been dying since the second I put them on, but I knew you motherfuckers did it, and I didn't want to give you the satisfaction of watching me in pain. So I've been sitting here for an hour and a half holding it in just so you guys can see what it was."
Dude, there was so many pranks like along the league. Like that was awesome. That was awesome. I'm gonna ask some quick questions to you. You answer some.
I got like 5 minutes and then I gotta go. So go for it.
2 minutes. It's quick questions. If you want to answer, you answer. If you want to pass, you pass. You don't have to answer, but you have to be bluntly honest. You have to be honest, okay, about stuff. Okay. All right. Favorite team you played?
With?
Yeah.
Milwaukee Wave.
Best moment on the field
For any team?
for any team.
Qualifying for the World Cup with the beach soccer national team.
Go Club California. Best moment off the field, not related to soccer.
The birth of my children.
The best roommate. That gotta be me, man.
No. I still have nightmares about rooming with you. I'll go Chris Toth again, only because Greenfield's up there, though. Chris Toth and Greenfield.
Okay, worst roommate.
Hewerton Morera.
I remember they story. They're like, "Come on, Nick, let's go out, man."
We're friends. I'm your friend. When a friend asks you to go get a beer, you get a beer. I was like, Hewerton, I'm going to bed. I love you. I'm going to bed. But you don't understand. I'm asking you as a friend. I was like, good night. It's over.
I need a friend right now, and you are not there for me. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and I remember you even told me it'll be 20 minutes. We're going to grab one beer. I'll be right back. And I was like, Hewerton, nothing you do in life takes 20 minutes. I know that.
But the best part of that conversation was when I came back.
Yes.
That was the best part.
That was the best. But we're going to save that one for later.
Yes, yeah. That one, even though in here we're doing like a thing that rated R,
we're saving that one.
That's funny. Best coach?
Keith Tozer.
The most fucked up moment, like a funny but most fucked up moment that comes in your head, like a related to soccer.
Fuck that moment. I'll say it's when Tozer pinned me up against the wall against Baltimore and had my legs off the ground, picked me up like this on the wall because I turned in a wall.
I don't think it was a fucked up moment. I think it was fun. Top 5 players in the league that you played, or that you just watched playing.
That still play?
Doesn't matter.
Marcio.
Mm-hmm.
Greenfield.
Mm-hmm.
Leo Gibson.
Yep.
Vahid,
yes.
I'll go with because of how long he's been doing. I'll go Chile.
Yeah, that is so many, man. I mean, seriously, there is so many players. Like guys that stop playing as well. Like even like the guy that was playing Pat Morris for me, like the defender. You didn't play against him, right?
No, he was done before I got there. And the list could have been much longer, but I'm trying to pick out guys that were special in something.
No,
really really different players. You know, like Greenfield is such a weird one for me because he's one of those guys, honestly, that if you watched him play and you didn't really know a lot about soccer, you just be like, dude, this guy sucks. He just passes the ball, doesn't do anything. You know.
I used to joke with Greenfield, saying like, dude, it's so hard to to understand you because your heart rate is always like a 51.
Yeah.
Really pissed off and angry, goes all the way high to 52.
Yeah.
You know. He was always in the same pace. Like
I know, and he was always the guy that made everything kind of tick and work, but nobody ever knew that it was him, and he liked it that way.
Sucked at practice, though.
Well, there was the 3 amigos, you, Greenfield, and Marcio. If you had 2 of those guys on your team at training, you lost. If you had all 3, you shouldn't even show up. Just walk away. It's over. You lost. If you had 2, forget it, because Greenfield doesn't practice, and then you and Marcio on the same team just meant that there was an argument going to happen, so you were going to lose no matter what.
I'm arguing much less to Marcio now.
Yeah, you don't have to play together anymore.
Yeah.
At the time, it was like coach would go, okay, let's go Hewerton and Marcia. It's like, fuck, we lost. Fuck.
And we were in the line, like the first year that we won against Baltimore, in Baltimore, the championship.
Mhm.
I was in the line, like Marcia, myself, and Greenfield. It was like, but the games, like, we do different things. It was good.
Sure.
Nick, seriously, thanks for the time, to be talking. How's the family doing?
Everyone's good, man. I got to go downstairs and get my daughter her school. She's starting up online in Spanish, so I got to go help her.
All right. Are you speaking like multiple English as well?
They're doing their schooling in Spanish, and then that's it. But they're doing a really good job. My daughter's really good. She's 4.5, and my son's 2.5, and they both speak pretty well. I mean, I don't know. They speak well.
That's nice, man. That's nice. Yeah, you gotta keep up. My kids don't speak any Portuguese right now, so we have to try and keep up down to.
Are they living with you?
No, right now we split. Especially now with all this shit going on. I've been working really well with her to get the kids like 2 to 3 days, then 2 to 3 days stay with her, and we like a switch back and forth. But it's hard because they don't live with me like 100% of the time, so it's hard for me to say something in Portuguese, and all of a sudden I have to translate, and then it's too much. Like, I want to enjoy my time with them as much as I can.
That's my thing with my daughter. My wife gets mad at me all the time because I don't speak to them in Spanish enough. But because I talk to my wife in English, it's hard sometimes to go blah, 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 and then turn around. And because I travel a lot, if I speak to them in English, they understand everything I say perfectly.
Yep.
And so we have a really good relationship. But when I speak them in Spanish, sometimes it takes them a little longer. And so I'm like, oh, I don't want my relationship to be hurt by that. Anyway, but yeah.
And one other thing that I have to stop doing was like every time that I was mad or they did something wrong, I say in Portuguese because I didn't want them to hate the language. Every time that they listen Portuguese, like, oh, my dad's bitching at me again.
I do the same. When I get mad, I curse in Spanish. I don't curse in English. And then sometimes my son, who doesn't know what I'm saying, repeats it. And my wife looks at me like, oh, my God, he just repeated that. That's
awesome. That is awesome. No, it's good, man. Well, again, thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to get some other guys. My goal in a couple weeks is to do a video with multiple guys like you, myself, Greenfield, Ian Bennett, like Pablo, even Marcio, like make a good video so we can just
be funny.
And have fun.
I'm in.
All right, sounds good, Nick. Thank you so much, man.
Later, man.
Talk to you later, man. Love you, brother.
Love you. Bye.